Failed California Governor Gavin Newsom appears to be on the verge of a total collapse ahead of the recall. That race is on September the 14th, coming quickly. And now it looks like Vice President Kamala Harris will not be able to come and rescue Gavin. Harris was set to be the headliner at a rally to oppose Newsom's recall in San Francisco tonight, but she canceled her plans shortly after yesterday's deadly attacks in Kabul. This comes as Newsom continues to fall way behind in the polls. Here with reaction, he's leading by 11 points on question 2. Who would you pick to be the next governor? And that is gubernatorial candidate, longtime friend of the show, I might add, Larry Elder. I watched the attacks. We talked about that the last time. I want to go over these polls with you, right, because I always thought question 1 was the hardest, Larry, and that was to remove Newsom. In terms of now CBS, latest poll they have, we now have a very tight race. The Real Clear Politics average is to remove, is leading, do not remove. He would need 50%. He's only at 47% at do not remove. That is not good for Gavin Newsom. Anyway, the most recent survey had, you up by 11 points. The closest Democrat is way behind you. Is there a potential now, real potential of a political earthquake in the state of California?
Well, as always, Sean, thank you for having me on. Let me just first give my condolences to the service members who lost their lives and those who are injured and the Americans who are still trapped in Afghanistan. But yes, there is an excellent chance that this man is going to be removed. You're right about the first question. It's right in the margin of error. It's right at 50-50. Half want him gone, half want him to stay. But the part that wants him gone has been increased by about 5 points over the last few weeks. And the intensity is on all the recall side. People are angry at the cost of living. They're angry at the way this man shut down the state, Sean, while ignoring science, while having his own kids enjoy in-person education at a private school, while he was sitting up there in the French Laundry with the very people that drafted the mandates. They were not wearing masks. They were not engaging in social distancing. And kids lost a whole year of in-person education, and they were already behind. Our test scores for math and reading are near the bottom of the country before the pandemic. And then you're talking about rising homelessness, and for the very first time in this state's 170-year history, Sean, people are leaving. And that's why so many people, 1.7 million people, signed that petition to get rid of this guy. And about a third of them were independents and Democrats, so you can't call this some sort of Republican takeover. And the majority of Hispanics now want him gone. In fact, we have a category called non-party preference. Normal states call that independents, and the majority of independents want him gone. So, and by the way, Sean, the voting has already begun. You're right, the election is on September the 14th, but that's the final day. The voting has already begun. The ballots have already been sent to homes, and people are already sending them in. And I understand around 10% of people have already voted. That's why I need the money now. So I'm asking people to go to electelder.com and throw something in the tip jar, because he's going to outspend my side by about 9-1, maybe even 10-1.
Here we are. You mentioned the COVID hypocrisy, but now on top of that, we're heading into the fire season. He rejects the science of forestry, and it is a science, which means controlled burns, right. Rolling brownouts, blackouts, whatever you want to call them. There's going to be those now hitting California. Water shortages now are acute. It's very acute in California. Vaccine mandates. Right. The COVID hypocrisy, I think, has gotten the attention of everyone in this state. So what is your main message? I've known you for years. You're a libertarian / conservative. You have been most of the years I've known you. You haven't changed.
No, my main message, Sean, is the number one responsibility of government is to protect people and property. And we're having a rise in crime, rising shootings, rise in homicides in all the major cities in California. And because of this defund the police movement, because of this false narrative that the police are engaging in systemic racism against cops are pulling back, and the very people who are hurt the most are black and brown people. And regarding the rise in homelessness, Sean, when Gavin Newsom ran for mayor in San Francisco, I think it was 2004, he promised to clean up homelessness in 10 years. That would have been 2015. It's even worse now. And when he became lieutenant governor, he pounded the table for 8 years claiming he had nothing to do. How about fulfilling your campaign promise about doing something about the homelessness? For all those reasons, that's why, in my opinion, he's likely to be recalled. And I'm way ahead of my Republican rivals. I'm not really worried about that part. I'm worried about the first part of the ballot. Again, 50-50, 50% plus one vote must vote to remove him. So I'm urging people to recall Gavin Newsom, and then, of course, to put my name in as the person to replace him.
It's going to be a fascinating race. We're watching it closely, and as it gets closer, we'll continue to follow it. By the way, you can always tell you're getting close to an election because the slander, the smearing, the besmirchment is in full force. What they don't know about Larry Elder, yes, go ahead. Yeah.
I was called, Sean, the black face of white supremacy. The black face of white supremacy. That's how desperate they are.
You're a better man than me because I'm angry for you, but that's the world. But California could be transformed with the right policies, and it needs it desperately. We're following it closely. We wish you well. Larry, thank you. All right, we have more Hannity right after this.